Hey there, Sagittarius. Welcome to your reading for the week of September 1st. This week, you start with this Wervin card. It says, your secrets are safe. You have this card that says, your luck will change soon. It cracks me up that you always get these cards of luck. I mean, Sagittarius is the sign of luck. And so, or, you're ruled by Jupiter, which can make you very lucky. But, it's just funny to me that this keeps popping up for you. One thing I will say is we're not necessarily in a lucky time, but that's not exactly true. It's like we have to create our own luck right now. We have, really, it's Uranus and Taurus. Uranus will be going back into Taurus in November. It's going to be retrograding from Gemini. And, literally at the beginning of Taurus, I predicted that, for example, that we would see record high lottery numbers. And I was basically right. There were a lot of record breaking lotteries, for example, because Uranus and Taurus does not Uranus and Taurus is not necessarily lucky. And, like the lottery involves luck, obviously. And so Uranus and Taurus does not like get rich quick, right? It wants us to do things like slow, methodical, take our time. But this is so that we can build things long term, so that we can create true long term success. Not just the lottery. Like people think they want to win the lottery, but they call it the curse of the lottery for a reason. It's like water pouring through your hands if you don't know how to handle money, right? And so, Uranus and Taurus does not like that. So again, and I'm just using that as an example. That's why we have to make sure we're doing things to create our own luck right now. And that's what this reading is saying. By the way, if you hear any weird noises, they're doing something on my neighbor's house. So that's what those noises are. But you have the star, the Nine of Cups, and the Knight of Pentacles. Really good reading. Again, the fire signs have had very positive readings this week. Again, everybody else, I don't know, it's kind of a weird week. All the other signs, except for fire signs, had sketchy readings. I wouldn't say bad, but just sketchy, right? And, I think this has happened to fire before, actually, one other time as well. So, I know it could just be a good time for fire signs. But, the star is a card of hope, faith, renewal. And I think that you need to... I do feel like there could be some things happening that are giving you hope, but that doesn't really mean much, It's like if you don't take advantage of that, then, obviously nothing is going to happen. So it's like you could be getting hope that your financial situation is turning around, but I would also make sure to do things, to make sure that happens, right? So that it isn't like water pouring through your hands. It's kind of again, it seems to me like we're in a time where we need to focus on our environment, but maybe what I should be saying is like a pyramid. It's like at the top of your pyramid, there are things you want in life, right? Below that are all the supporting structures that can make that top of the pyramid happen, right? This is how I kind of see it in my head here, Sag. So bear with me. But it's like, let's say you want to make $1 million, right? It's like on the way down the pyramid, there are certain things that have to be in place to support $1 million. You have to have good money habits. You have to remove your money blocks, right? If you grew up and your parents told you money doesn't grow on trees, you have to clear that out, of your brain. You have to be responsible with your money. And, it's like there are certain activities and habits and things that people who have $1 million that they do, right? That's how you can fill in your pyramid, right? And I don't know. The star card is saying that to me. It's like saying, hey, there are going to be some good things that are coming in for you, but you just have to make sure that you're in a true alignment with those things that you want, right? And I think as long as you do that, things will go very well. You have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups can be fulfillment or wish fulfillment. I always say that I do not consider the Nine of Cups to just be a wish you get unless you have the star card, which you do. Because the Nine of Cups is, you have to, again, he is, the whole story of this card is he's meant to look chubby for a reason on this card. Because he's about to have a feast. But he's chubby because he's had a feast before. So the card literally says that to have something that you desire or want, you have to have it before you can have it. And again, I just told you how to do that, which is you have to fill in your pyramid, right? That's what we're going to call it. Like the pyramid, like Dwight in The Office, the whole pyramid thing. But anyway, some of you know what I'm talking about. But it's like you have to fill that in, with good habits, beliefs, good, money, removing money blocks if it's money. It could be other types of blockages as well. And, that's what I would focus on with this. But I would also make a wish because... again, these two together, I definitely consider to be a wish. You have the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this week for you just looking around here. I mean, it's like Knight of Pentacles can just be straightforward progress. It can say that the things that you're doing right now are leading to more progress in your life. One thing I will say is that he makes sure to plant seeds in fertile soil. And that those words are basically popping into my head. So it's like, he doesn't waste his time on things that he knows aren't going to grow, right? And so I don't know. It is popping into my head as important, right? It's like sometimes it's like I'm sure you all have relationship stories, business stories, work stories where it's like you gave to something that you knew you shouldn't have up front, right? And so I kind of feel that like I wouldn't really call it a warning, but I do kind of feel like the Knight of Pentacles is kind of saying like, hey, and look at this, right? You have the Nine of Wands here. He is looking at the Knight of Pentacles. It's like you've been down this road before. I wouldn't really call it a warning. I think it's just saying pay attention to things that are worth it and that aren't worth it. The Nine of Wands says you've had these experiences. Nine of Wands, he's the wounded warrior. He has, he knows what to look out for. I think it's just saying pay attention. With the Star, you have the Ace of Wands here. A lot of Wands energy, which is good for you as a fire sign. Whenever you get a bunch of your own element, that can be very good. Ace of Wands out with the old, in with the new. So definitely could be like a new, passionate new beginning coming in for you. There is something about fire for fire signs this week. I literally said the same thing to Leo, but it's kind of like the readings for fire this week have been saying to me that fire signs need to like build a fire. It's like you need to, like whatever you're working on, whatever you're wanting to do, you need to do things that you're passionate about. That's what I mean by fire, like passion, desire. It's like you need to do things that build those feelings inside of you. I feel like if you're doing things that do the opposite, then you're probably going to feel drained. If you do things that make you feel fired up, then you're going to feel really good, right? And that's what I would be focusing on. With the Nine of Cups, you have the Page of Pentacles here. Could be a new person for those of you that want love here. Definitely could be an earth sign or someone with like earth in their chart or something. You have the Six of Cups. I don't read the Six of Cups as a past person. To me, it can be a new soulmate. So definitely could be attracting a soulmate. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Cups. Yes, you definitely need to do more of what you love. The Queen of Cups, she is the card of following your heart. She only puts her, and again, remember, we were basically saying that you need to protect your energy with that Knight of Pentacles. Is like you need to do the things that you know are going to grow. And the Queen of Cups, she only does things that she loves. So, that's basically what I would be doing with that card. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Dolphin Spirit. It says, stop taking life so seriously and splash some joy in your everyday life. Yes, I think everybody needs to do this right now. We're in a very serious time, so obviously we have to go the other way. You have this Healing Energy card, which it is an amazing time for healing. You have this card that says, you're in the process of healing, eliminating any bad energy from your life. Yes. We have the South Node in Virgo. We also have this eclipse on September 21st coming up. And yeah, it might not be here yet, but guess what? You can feel eclipses super early. I like to remind people that, think about this. In astrology, we have birth eclipses. Your birth eclipse can happen like 6 months before your birth or 6 months after. So, we feel eclipse energy much sooner than we think. And, again, I definitely think it's, with the eclipse in Virgo plus the South Node in Virgo, plus the fact that you have the Star and the Hermit, which is Virgo, that you should be making sure that you're taking time to heal here, Sagittarius, with all this Virgo energy showing up. You could be attracting a Virgo, I guess, or someone with Virgo on their chart as well. The other thing is, I feel that it is time for Sag to shine with your skills. Especially for those of you that have certain skills in life that maybe you haven't been using them, or maybe you haven't been using them as much as you should or want to. That's what I would do with the Hermit. Is like I would like shine your light bright. You have the King of Wands. King of Wands is about being bold, being assertive. Really going for what you want. And that's what I would do with the King of Wands, is like be more bold, assertive, confident, really go for the things that you want to accomplish. Again, the bolder you are with this card, the better. And, it is definitely a time to be bold. The other thing is, I feel like you're conquering something here, Sagittarius. I don't know, it's kind of like a weird word to get with the King of Wands, but kind of not at the same time. That word popped into my head, that you're conquering something. Like if you have an issue or have been having a challenge, I feel that you could be overcoming that challenge. Normally, I wouldn't say that unless we had like the Chariot or the Ace of Swords, for example. Those are two really good cards for conquering like an issue in life. But I don't know. Like I said, it's popping into my head. So there you go. You have the Nine of Wands. Again, I feel like saying you've been down this road before here, Sag. If you've been, it's like there are going to be good opportunities and probably some pretty crappy opportunities. Not even just this week. I feel, for the rest of the year, probably into next year as well. He is like totally side-eyeing this Knight of Pentacles, right? It's like he is looking at this guy and he's just like, I don't know, He's like questioning this Knight of Pentacles here. And it's kind of weird because, like, I feel good about the Knight of Pentacles, but, like, I feel like he doesn't feel good about the Knight of Pentacles. I have to talk this out so I can get what I'm getting at intuitively. But, again, really what I think it's saying is that it will be the opportunities that are fertile are going to be obvious. The things that aren't fertile, it's like you will know that it's not right. It's like I always say in love. It's like, in love, it's like, I'm sure you've all dated a person where it's like you knew it wasn't right from day one, but you did it anyway, which is fine. By the way, I always tell people, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't date. It just means that we should pay attention, right? And, because again, people do change. I believe that, right? So it's like sometimes maybe you date a person, maybe you're not sure if they're serious at first, but they can become serious. But again, if at first they don't seem serious, then it should make you think. It should make you say, you know what, I'm just going to pay attention. And then, like I said, I don't think we have to leave the person right there. Maybe we can have the experience, we can date, we can learn from that person, but maybe we should be a little bit more cautious or take a little bit more time. Or if things don't change in a certain amount of time, we need to be better breaker-uppers, right? I think we all need to be better at leaving people because, again, we can just say to a person, you know what, I can tell this isn't working, I'm out, right? And instead of like being afraid of being alone, right? It's like sometimes I think we stay in those crappy situations because we don't want to be alone. But also sometimes I think that sticking up for ourselves, when we do that, we are basically proving to the universe that we're serious about love, and then we will attract a person who is serious, right? So it's, again, we don't have to be jerks. We don't have to be mean to people or anything, but we can say like, hey, you know what? I can tell you're not being serious, and which is fine. No, not criticizing you or anything, but I'm looking for something more serious. I'm out, right? With the Hermit, you have the Six of Wands twice here. Going this way, you have all these sixes, which I love. 2 sixes is basically confirmation for your path. It's like the universe is saying, yes, you're going in the right direction. So I do love 2 sixes. With the Knight of Wands here, you have the Five of Cups. Yeah, again, like I said, you're like conquering something here. He is sad. He's lost his taste for wine. The whole point of the Five of Cups is that he has to be grateful for what he has. And then he'll get this bridge in the castle. So I feel like you have to release something from your past that has disappointed you here, Sag. And really, I think that's what this is saying. It's like saying you have to let go of past disappointments. With the Nine of Wands, you have the Three of Cups. Three of Cups can be a celebration, happiness, good things happening for you, just in general. So I feel like there could be like a celebration coming in. Really good time for people now, Sag. I think it has not been a good time for people for a long time for Sagittarius. Not like, again, I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but, I think maybe you've had a lot of challenges with people in general. And I think, things are getting better with people, which is good. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, yes, you have this cleansing card and the strength card. We are in a time of cleansing. I mean, we have Pluto retrograde right now. Pluto will go retrograde until October 14th. And, whenever Pluto's retrograde, we can definitely be doing some cleansing. Pluto is deep work. Pluto is underneath the surface. It is, kind of like doing some of that deeper introspective work type stuff, which is definitely very cleansing for sure. So, yeah, I mean, sure, you're probably doing that. I think it is a great time to build strength, literally and figuratively. With all that Virgo energy, it is probably a good time to do that. Plus, I don't know, over the next couple of years, Saturn will be moving back into Aries, next year in February. Neptune as well. Plus, we have Chiron there. Chiron, I think, is doing its last retrograde. It might have one more, if I'm not mistaken. So Chiron in Aries is a major pain in the ass, as far as I'm concerned. And we have Chiron retrograding in Aries right now. It'll be going direct, and then I'm pretty sure it retrogrades one more time in Aries. But don't quote me on that. But what I would say is that Aries energy, I think, literally could be good if you want to grow your muscles, literally, right? Especially Saturn. But also any other type of muscle that you want to grow, now is the time to lift some heavier weights. If you want to get better in business, challenge yourself. If you want to get better in love, go on some dates, challenge yourself, see what happens, right? And don't be afraid of, telling people off in a nice way. Don't be afraid of saying like, nah, you're not serious, which is fine, but I'd rather be alone, right? Don't be afraid of being alone. That builds strength. I would be doing all those things. I really don't think Sagittarius is afraid of being alone, but still. You have the 4 Cups, 6 of Cups, the Death card. 4 Cups is like, this is why I'm saying that thing about being alone. Like, maybe that's not exactly what your fear is, Sag, but sometimes I think the 4 Cups is the fear of never having something. He's like tried to have something 3 times before, and now he's not accepting this new offer because he's been disappointed 3 times before. I kind of do feel the universe is challenging you a little bit to get something that you don't think you can have, or that just seems a little bit out of reach. Like, I think that would be a good challenge to give yourself, not even just right now, but, I would say, again, over the next several years, this could be a good thing to work on. Is like, maybe there is something that you think you will never have because you never have had it. And that's what needs to change here with the 4 Cups. You have the 6 of Cups. I do feel that some of you could be attracting a new soulmate. I don't think this is a past person. I think that you could be attracting a new person if you want love. I also, 2 sixes in multiple directions here, so you're clearly on the right path. The 6 of Cups, sometimes, not always, I focus on this right here. She has this, like, mitt on. It almost reminds me of an oven mitt. And for whatever reason, sometimes I think, not always, again, only when I feel it intuitively, I feel that maybe she's being a little bit too cautious, like she's grabbing something with an oven mitt on her hand, like she's trying not to get burned. It's like there's nothing really wrong with that, Sag, especially if you're being careful. And as a matter of fact, this reading is kind of encouraging you to be careful and pay attention, right? But at the same time, it's like as long as you pay attention, there's no reason to be overly careful, right? So again, I kind of feel balance as far like with your caution. It's like, yeah, we should probably pay attention and be cautious in, love, for example, right now. But at the same time, we don't need to overcorrect, right? It's about balance. It's about finding that middle ground and, just kind of paying attention. If you meet a person, they kind of seem a little bit off. It's like, maybe instead of like jumping right into bed with them, you should give it a couple more dates, right? Maybe you should be like, I'm going to see how this one goes, right? And so it's like we don't have to be so cautious that we run away whenever anyone does anything, right? Because that's ridiculous. No one's perfect. But we also maybe could be a little bit cautious, right? So that we don't get hurt. And, I think that's what this is encouraging. It's encouraging that, balance, right? And that's what I would do here. Next, you have the Death card. The Death card can be like a big change. We are, 2 eclipses this month. So, yeah, there will definitely be some pretty big changes for everyone this month. And, sure. With the 4 Cups, you have the 6 of Swords, all these 6s. Look at this. It's like 6 of Wands twice, the 6 of Swords twice. Pretty interesting. Definitely could be moving on to calmer shores or heading towards an improvement. I love the 6 of Swords. It's definitely a good card. Sometimes I feel the 6 of Swords kind of is saying that you're finally moving forward. So you could be making, and by the way, you have a lot of cards of progress in this reading, so you could finally be making progress. Another 6, you cannot make that up. You have all the 6s basically now. And with the 6 of Cups, you have the 6 of Pentacles. So amazing. I don't know what's going on. 6 could be an important number for you right now. But 6 of Pentacles is exactly what I talked about, right? Caution. 6 of Pentacles says plant the seed. See if it grows. See if it doesn't grow. If it grows, keep going. It's like in love, this is like the tennis match of love. You hit the ball to their side, wait for them to return the favor. As long as there's like, equal give and take, then, keep going. Now, again, I think it's ridiculous to think a relationship is ever going to be equal. Relationships are, I don't know where this whole equal thing comes in. Because it's like, really, in most relationships, it's like maybe sometimes you give more and other times they give more. It's like, I don't think we should be whipping out calculators being like, oh, they did this week, I did this, I did more, it's not equal, I'm leaving. Like, that's also ridiculous, right? So it's like sometimes, we all give in different ways, and, sometimes maybe it goes one way or the other. But for the most part, Sagittarius, is there equal give and take? If the answer is yes, great. Keep going. If the answer is no, stop. With the Death card, you cannot make that up. I don't know what's going on with the sixes, but I don't know. I'll probably never have a reading like this again where something like this happens. So, that's pretty interesting. But definitely a lot of six energy here. I don't know. I think it's a good thing because, again, I think it's kind of like saying that you're on the right path. Next, in your last row for the good stuff, you have this ego card and this remember card. I do think it's like a good time to remember like why we are doing the things that we're doing, because we're in a time of truth, right? And so it's like if we're doing things that aren't attached to our truth, then we're probably not doing things that we should be doing, and that's what I'd be paying attention to here. Same thing with the ego card. It's like, are you doing something because you actually want to do it, or because it'll scratch your ego, right? And I'm not one of those people that thinks ego is a bad thing. I think as humans we need an ego. We have an ego for a reason. So every person I've ever met that says that they have conquered their ego has like the biggest ego I've ever met. I've met a lot of people in the spiritual community, and I'm not going to name names here, but I've met some people that specifically talk about ego, and they have gigantic ass egos. So, again, I find that to be very interesting, just in general. And people who don't have an ego get steamrolled in life, right? You will get taken advantage of by people who do. So I think it's a ridiculous thing to say that we have to conquer or get rid of our ego, because it's basically impossible. You have the Eight of Pentacles, Six of Swords, and yes, that is me. That is coming from my ego, so deal with it. I definitely have an ego. We all do, right? Plain and simple. You have the Six of Swords, Six of Wands. Eight of Pentacles, very good for being successful, very good for putting work into things. Eight of Pentacles is like straightforward, diligent work. You have to like pick one thing and see it through to the end with the Eight of Pentacles. Now, one thing I will say is I think over the next couple of years at least, Eight of Pentacles will be a pretty common card because we have Saturn in Aries. Saturn will be actually retrograding back into Pisces September 1st. This week, the week that this reading is for. But next year in February it moves back into Aries. But I don't know what I just said, but it's going to retrograde into Pisces. Next year it moves back into Aries. And, Saturn and Aries, I think, wants us to pick one thing and see it through to the end. Something that we're going to work on. Could even be like an improvement in your life or your health or something else. But I would just like pick one thing and make it happen. You have the Six of Swords. Six of Swords is moving on to calmer shores, heading towards improvements. I also feel there are financial improvements coming in for you, Sag. I think a lot of Sages have maybe been searching for more financial stability, of course, but probably more than the other signs. And I feel a lot of you could be finding it. You have the Six of Wands, which is like moving on to which is success or victory. So I do feel there could be a victory coming in for you as well, Sag. You could be getting a lot of attention as well with that Six of Wands. Sagittarius can be fame. So, pretty good. With the Eight of Pentacles, you have the Page of Wands. I think we all have to do new things to find money. I don't know. I've been warning people about this for years, like literally. You can go back to the lives I used to do on my channel. If you go back to the oldest ones, I used to always tell people that like careers aren't coming back. It's like jobs like aren't necessarily going to improve. I don't think that should scare people, because I think there are actually going to be way better ways for people to make money that doesn't suck up 80 hours a week, right? So we can actually have lives. So again, I think that this is about going on the adventure and figuring it out. With the Six of Swords, you have the Nine of Cups, which you have twice in this reading. It's a crazy week because almost every single sign has had a bunch of repeating cards, which is pretty weird but also pretty good, because repeating cards kind of are a sign from the universe that you're going in the right direction. With the Six of Wands, you have the Emperor. Yes, this is you taking the lead. The Emperor is about like taking the lead on something, or kind of like being a leader. So I feel a lot of you could be taking the lead on something in your life, and yeah, looks pretty good. You have this funnel. It says period of frustration, lessons to be learned. I always just call this card life. In life, that's, I think, what we should be doing. Like, we are funneling into something. We basically start life, we like go this way, we bounce off the side of the funnel, we go this way, and hopefully in life we become more specific and we kind of like concentrate down, and that's where we become successful. So I don't know, life. You have this Mule card. It says someone is extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. We need to be careful of stubborn people right now. I talk about this all the time. And so, yeah, if there are people who aren't willing to change, then I would avoid those people. You have this Money Path card. It says a path with money is waiting for you to find it. Love it. 8 of Pentacles. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I talk about this with you a lot. I have a bunch of Sagittarius friends personally, and every single one of them has a side hustle, which cracks me up. So I think it's a very Sagittarian thing to have like a side hustle or to like have something on the side. But again, there could be like opportunity in that for you. You have this pin card. It says new job or career. Again, there you go. And you have this Mountain Road. It says you're on the road to success. There you go. Love it. All these 6s, are basically saying there's like a straight path towards success. But this looks really good, Sag. I love it. So thank you for being here and definitely enjoy your week.